Hello! If you have wanted to create an AR space, so an augmented reality space, but you have no idea where to start, then you have come to the right place because today in this video, it's just me here. I am going to show you how to create a storyboard so you can start gaming out how to create your AR space. And I'm going to show you the process. I'll show you the template that I use. I had that set up on my iPad, so we'll kind of sketch it out together. But first, I want to show you, let me know in the comments, have you done storyboarding before it doesn't have to be for AR spaces, but anything. Let me know in the comments if you have done storyboarding or if you are familiar with storyboarding. So today in our example, I'm going to show you, or we're going to take a look at how I'm going to be building this AR space. In the augmented reality space I will be building it in Adobe Aero, but what I'll be building is kind of an onboarding space. So what I like to do when someone signs up to be on my podcast or do a live show with me like this on LinkedIn or YouTube, I like to send them an email with just a ton of information. Here's the tech you need. Here's when we're going to do a sound check or a video check. Here's what to expect. Here's some of the questions I'll be asking. Just kind of getting them onboarded or acquainted with how I work and how the process works when you are doing live shows with me. And what I want to do is, instead of having that email, which the email is fine, great information, I want to build something that's a little more interactive, a little more exciting. So why not do an AR space within Adobe? So I'm not going to just take like my email and retrofit it into Adobe Aero, or just cut pieces of the text and put it into Adobe Aero and make it move. Because that just really doesn't, I guess it really doesn't make sense, because what I want to be able to do is create the interactivity, the interactive space, not just taking what I already use and kind of shoving it into a new platform, completely reimagining how I onboard or how I introduce myself to people to help them when they're coming on live shows or a podcast with me. So what I want to show you today, before we get into the template, is kind of my thinking behind how I want my AR space to look. And I love the American Airlines safety video. I think it's so fun. There's a lot of things going on, and I'm going to show you a clip in a second, but it's a very short clip because I do not want to get a copyright strike with YouTube, since I'm broadcasting this on YouTube as well as LinkedIn. But later on in the video, which again we won't see, but I'll link it below so you can watch the full video, is instead of, so your seatbelt buckle, you know how it's silver, they actually have somebody's hands that are on there, and it's colored, or they have it painted with like a silver paint. It's just really funny, but we're not going to see that part, but we are going to see the part of the video where there's just things going on, and that's kind of what I want my AR space to look like. Like, there's a lot of things going on. So let's take a look at a short clip. Now, I should have also mentioned that I didn't put the audio on, because that really wasn't as important, as I wanted you to see kind of how things were flying, people were walking, the woman was walking forward, and you just saw all the things behind her, things that she was passing. So it's kind of what I want my AR space to feel like. Now, I'm also going to show you a short video clip with, it's a promotional video with Adobe Aero, so you kind of see how people, when they use their phone or their iPad, how it will kind of look, or how the assets and graphics will look when you're looking through the screen. So let me play that for you. So see how that didn't have the sound on it as well, but you can kind of see how those assets were just kind of flying through, or you could see them through the what you were looking through on your iPad or your mobile device. Now, I'm not going to get into the science of why we would want to create this AR space and make it more interactive when you're doing an onboarding or a learning or a training program, bringing it into augmented reality. Because last week's video, I did all of the background on the science behind how this helps people retain more knowledge. But I will link that video, last week's video, in the comments below. But let's take a look at the process. So here's what my process is for creating an AR space. So I start with my overarching strategy, go into storyboarding all of the scenes, then I will create the assets and then actually building the AR space. Now today, we're not gonna get into any of the other pieces except for the storyboarding, but I will explain a little bit my strategy. So with my strategy with this, like I mentioned, I'm building this because I want people to have like an interactive introduction to me before I'm doing, or before they're on a podcast with me or a live video. So with this space, the strategy, or I guess the overarching strategy, I think of it in terms of like change management principles. So what do I want them to hear? What do I want them to see? What do I want them to feel? And what do I want them to do? So that's how I built my overarching strategy. So what I want them to hear is that you need, or what they need in terms of technology or things in order to do a podcast with me. So that's what I want them to hear when they are watching this or listening to this video or this AR space. What I want them to see is that, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, but I'm going to explain each of them and I'm going to help you through it. And then how I want them to feel is actually feel supported by me, that I'm not just going to do this podcast or this live show and not help them out with anything. I'm going to help them through the tech, what they have, or how that they can use their current technology. They don't need to buy anything else, and make it amazing for when they're interacting with me. And then what do I want them to do? I want them to be able to check their technology so they can see if it's working, and working it in ways that I will show them how to get the most out of their technology. All right, so that was my overarching strategy. Now into the storyboard, and I'm gonna show you, before we go to the storyboard, this is the example I'm using now. It's my example, but there are so many possibilities when you are using augmented reality spaces. And just two examples. If you are a recruiter, you could use this when someone applies for a role. You could send them out an AR space that maybe it's a video of you welcoming them and letting them know about the hiring process. You could have a graphic up of maybe they have to click on it and it'll give them, here's some ways to prepare for an interview, or here's what our process is. You can have those graphics coming up and they click on it, and then it could expand a little more so they could actually read through that. If you're a hiring manager, you could do something that's kind of a little bit similar, where if you're welcoming someone to a new person to your team, you could send them an AR space. Maybe it's a video of you saying, welcome, we're so glad that you're joining this team. And then maybe you could have graphics or things of what is maybe the first 3 things that they need to do before they start in this new role, or before their day one. You could have all of that information there, and it just kind of makes it more immersive and interactive experience, and it makes them feel more part of the company. So that's 2 ways that you can use this technology yourself. But let's start building, I guess, my storyboards for this example. So here is the template that I use, and there are many templates out there, but this is just the one that I found that works best for me. So let's start at the top. So you'll see where it says scene at the top. Now you can number this if you want. Oh, let me make this better. So you can number it if you want, or you can create, if you want to do the scenes on, maybe it could be, here's the introduction, or here's this piece of it. You don't have to use numbers. Use whatever works for you. All right, let's start with the top 3 boxes. So the first one is intention, and that is, what are you intending to happen in this scene? It could be actions, or it just could be something, what do you want to happen in this scene? So then the second box is the assets. So that is where you will list out if you want videos, if there are certain graphics, if there's 3D models that you want within here. What assets are you going to need to build specific scene? All right, then the third box is interaction. So what do you want to actually happen within the scene? Do you want to have someone click on a button? Do you want to have someone have to swipe something? Do you want to have someone like double tap on something? What interactions do you want them to have with the technology, or what interactions on the actual screen? And then the bottom 3 boxes are point of view sketches. You can just do really basic sketches, and I'm going to show you my rudimentary sketches in a second. But you could do a 180-degree view, a 360-degree view. One of the third box that I have is the top down. And what I like about the top down is just imagining where each piece is going to be, or each asset, just so it's not like squished up against each other. It's not laid out in a way that you don't want it to be. So it's just a way for you to take a look at it and see it from that top down and make sure it's all moving in the ways that you want it to move. And now the second, or the two boxes on the side, the right side, is the start frame and the end frame. Now sometimes I like, oops, sorry, I went a little too far. Sometimes I like to start on that side where here's how I want the frame or the scene to start, and here's how I want the scene to end. And then everything that happens in between is what you have to build out in that scene on the rest of that template of the storyboard. Or sometimes I start with the intention box, or sometimes I start with the asset box. It doesn't matter. This does not have to be a linear process. Use it how it works for you and how it works for how your brain works. So let's take a look again. So we got all three of those. Yes, so we looked at all those boxes. Now I'm going to switch over here to my iPad, and you'll still be able to see me over here. But what I want to be able to do is somewhere I've got, so my Apple Pencil, I'm just going to sketch out a few things. So with my example with doing this onboarding video, kind of in the likes of that American Airlines video, I have a green screen. So I'm going to be recording a video with me just slowly walking, kind of like that woman was, and just welcoming people and giving them a basic overview of here's what happens when you're working with me with a podcast or a video or on a live show. So we will start at the top with the scene, and I'm going to do both. I'm going to do a number and I'm going to label it too. So I'm going to do scene 1, and this is going to be the introduction. So I'm just going to do, oh my goodness, my handwriting looks so terrible today. So intro. So with my scene, what is my intention? So this first one, if this is going to be that video, what am I intending? What actions am I going to have happen? So really with this, I just want them to watch the video. So I'll put watch the video, and then see some assets or graphics pop up. So like I might have a microphone, or I might have a computer. Watch video and then see assets. Because in the next scene is where I'm actually going to have them click on the assets. So this now is just watching the video and then see the assets fly on the screen. All right, and then let's take a look at the assets. So to make this scene happen, what do I need? Obviously, I need my video with a green screen. And then I would need those assets. So you could list out all those assets here, the graphics that you need. So I won't do that for the sake of time, but I'm just going to like briefly put like a 3D microphone. I'm not sure. I might want to have like a 3D desk so I can like walk up to it, and then it has like the computer stuff on there. I'm not sure yet. And then I just jot it down if I'm thinking about it or not. And then you could always revise it later. And I'm just going to put a question mark because I'm really not sure. A 3D desk. And then I might need, so I have the microphone on the desk. And I'm just going to put a 3D computer. All right, so that's some of the assets. So I might need more. Again, just briefly or just quickly sketch this out just so you kind of think through a few things. And then interaction. What do I want? Is there any interactivity I want them to have in this scene? And I actually don't want them to have any interactivity yet. They're just going to be watching it. There's nothing that they're going to be tapping on. So I'm just going to say nothing. And then let's go down to the point of view sketch. Right now, I'm not going to do like a 180 sketch or a 360 sketch, but just a top down. When you're looking down on the screen, actually, you won't be looking down on the screen, but in your mind, when you're looking down on the screen, how do you want all the assets to play out? So this is just a simple way that I sketch it out. So with my video, I'm going to be starting over in the corner, and then I want to walk, and I want the assets to kind of fly up. So I might, maybe I'll have a microphone over here, and then maybe when I'm walking, a desk pops up, and then that's where a computer is on there. Put that over here too. So I'll just put a C for a computer. And then, so if I'm walking, there's me. I have a desk pops out, or a microphone over there, a desk, a computer, and there might be probably wires, because I like to talk to people about try not to, if you can, be hardwired in when you're doing video and even audio. If you have to be wireless, that's fine, but hardwired is fine. So maybe I'll just do some crazy little, does that look like wires? So your Ethernet cables. So cables, if I can spell correctly. All right, so I didn't do those other point of view sketches, but then if you think of, so the start frame and the end frame, so when I start, I just want it to be me. Oh my goodness, I can't believe that you're gonna see my little sketches of stick people. So that's me. So when we start, I just want it to be me. I should have put me a little up in the upper corner a little more. And then at the end frame, it's going to be me down here a little further, and then probably with the desk and the computer and the microphone and the squiggly little cable. All right. So that's how I want to end the frame. And then I just go back and take a look at, okay, I'm starting here, I'm ending here. Was there anything that I forgot over in the interaction, the assets, or the intention, or the top down? And I think it looks all right. Now again, you can see, like, you just sketch this out. It's kind of hard to draw at this angle with my Apple Pencil. I don't have the settings correct on the Apple Pencil right now when I'm in the PDF. But this is just a very easy way to sketch out each scene. So this was just the first scene, and you could just keep going on different scenes, and you can make it as complicated as you want, as easy or as simple as you want. You don't have to make it complicated if you don't want. It could be really easy. It could be a video of you and then maybe just a few graphics that you just click, 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 and they do something. Or it could be a assessment that you have someone do, where if there's a video, or it could just be a screen with some questions and then they just have to swipe the questions somewhere, or like swipe them into a basketball hoop, or swipe them over, and then it just kind of disappears or turns into a bird and flies off the screen, but that would be a little bit more complicated to create that. So my next steps, I just showed you briefly, a brief overview of my storyboard, but the next steps now is I have to create the assets and then actually do the build in Adobe Aero. So with the assets, when I'm creating the assets, I will show you on next week's video. We will use an amazing program or an amazing subscription service that I have to Envato Elements, where there's 3D models out there, there's graphics, photos, B-roll footage, a lot of amazing things that you can use. And then we'll also be using a lot of Adobe products to actually build some more of those assets. And then we will go into the build, and I'll show you how to pull all this stuff into Adobe Aero really quickly. These videos are really short, and it'll be really easy for you to see how, or I should say you'll be able to see how easy it is to pull these assets in and create an AR space for yourself. Now, as always, I love talking about augmented reality, virtual reality, learning and development, onboarding. So if you want to have a virtual coffee, I will put a link in the comments so you can schedule one. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope your AR projects are successful.
I've been to heaven, I've done my best.